Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Before we dive into the automotive equivalent of a hamster trying to move a sofa, do me a massive favor. If you enjoy deep dives into cars that have more personality than horsepower, smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and ring the bell. It helps the channel more than an extra cylinder would help today's subject. Now, picture a pickup truck. Close your eyes. You're probably imagining a Ford F-150, a Chevy Silverado, or maybe a Toyota Hilux. Something rugged, something that eats lumber for breakfast and spits out sawdust. Now I want you to take that mental image and shrink it. Keep shrinking. Smaller. No, smaller than that. Keep going until it looks like something a toddler would try to eat. Stop. You are now visualizing the 1961 Cony Guppy, a vehicle so unashamedly tiny it makes a Mini Cooper look like a monster truck. This marvel of minimalism comes to us from a company called Aichi Machine Industry Company Limited. Now, if that name sounds serious and industrial to you, you're spot on. During the Second World War, these folks weren't making cute delivery trucks. Oh no, they were building engines for aircraft. They were building the hearts of the Aichi D3A Val dive bomber, a machine designed for speed, precision, and aerial dominance. Fast forward to 1961, and the same engineers who once worried about thrust-to-weight ratios and altitude performance sat down at a drafting table, looked at each other, and said, "You know what? Let's build a truck that fits in a hallway." It is one of the most delightful pivots in industrial history. It's like finding out that the guy who designed the Death Star also runs a really successful Etsy shop selling knit cozies for teapots. But why? Why does the Cony Guppy exist? Well, you have to look at Japan in the late 1950s and early 60s. The country was rebuilding at a breakneck pace. The economy was booming, cities were getting crowded, and small business owners, the bakers, the tofu makers, the rice delivery guys, desperately needed wheels. But they didn't need a massive American-style truck. They needed something that could navigate alleyways so narrow you'd have to suck in your gut to walk down them. They also needed something cheap. The Japanese government had created the K-car class, a set of regulations that offered tax breaks for vehicles with tiny engines and tiny footprints. It was a race to the bottom in the best possible way. Aichi looked at the regulations and decided to make a vehicle that didn't just meet the rules, but hugged them tightly like a lost child. So what exactly is this thing? The Guppy is technically a pickup truck, but calling it a truck feels like a bit of a stretch, like calling it Chihuahua a wolf. It had a mid-engined layout. Yes, you heard me correctly, mid-engined, like a Ferrari Testarossa, like a Ford GT. But instead of a screaming V12, the Guppy packed a thunderous, earth-shattering 199cc single-cylinder, two-stroke engine. This powerhouse produced a staggering 11 horsepower. That is not a typo. 11. I have a blender in my kitchen with more torque. If you had a heavy lunch, you were technically affecting the power-to-weight ratio. The engine was tucked underneath the cargo bed, right behind the seats, which meant if you broke down while hauling a load of radishes, you had to unload every single radish before you could fix it. That is Japanese engineering discipline at its finest. If you want to drive the Guppy, you must be confident in your maintenance. One of the most bizarrely advanced features for such a cheap car was the transmission. It didn't have a standard manual gearbox. It had a torque converter toy-like transmission that allowed for clutchless driving. In 1961, this was marketed as a luxury feature for delivery drivers who are tired of shifting gears in stop-and-go Tokyo traffic. It was essentially a go-kart for grown-ups who had vegetables to deliver. Now let's talk about the design. It is adorable. It is aggressively cute. It has two round headlights that look like surprised eyes and a flat front that makes it look like it just ran into a wall and is very apologetic about it. But the best part? The turn signals. On the B-pillar right behind the door, there are these sticky-outy plastic indicators that look exactly like the sirens on a police car or an ambulance, except they just blink orange. They look like little ears. It's impossible to look at a Cony Guppy and not smile. It triggers the same part of your brain that reacts to baby pandas or puppies that are too small for their feet. You asked who famously drove this car, and this is where it gets funny. You might expect me to say, oh, a famous Japanese rock star drove one, or the Prime Minister loved it. Now, this was a working vehicle. It was driven by Mr. Tanaka the fishmonger and Mrs. Sato the florist. It was the chariot of the working class. However, the Guppy does have a claim to fame that no other truck has. Its most famous drivers were children. Let me explain. The Guppy wasn't a massive commercial success. It was a bit too small, a bit too weird, and slightly underpowered even for 1961. Production ended pretty quickly, but Aichi had all these leftover parts, and Nissan, who was in the process of absorbing Aichi, had an idea. They took the chassis and mechanics of the Cony Guppy, put a new, even cuter body on it, limited the speed to roughly 18 miles per hour, and called it the Datsun Baby. Then they donated 100 of these vehicles to a place called Kodomo no Kuni, or Children's Land, a theme park near Tokyo. So the legacy of the Cony Guppy is that it became a training car for literal 10-year-olds. For decades, the most prolific drivers of this platform were children learning traffic safety on a closed course. If that doesn't sum up the non-threatening aura of this vehicle, nothing does. It was a truck so gentle, so manageable, and so unintimidating that executives looked at it and said, yes, let's give this to fourth graders. The aura of the Cony Guppy today is one of plucky determination. It represents a specific moment in history where optimism was high, but resources were low. It's the automotive embodiment of the phrase, "I'm trying my best." It has suicide doors, which makes it sound dangerous, but let's be honest, if you fell out of a Cony Guppy at top speed, you'd probably just graze your knee. The top speed was theoretically 50 miles per hour, but I suspect reaching that speed involved a steep hill, a strong tailwind, and a driver who had skipped breakfast. Driving one is an experience. It sounds like a chainsaw fighting a sewing machine. The cabin is Spartan, just a metal dashboard, a thin steering wheel, and a single gauge. There's no radio. The music is the sound of the two-stroke engine buzzing directly behind your spine. The suspension is independent on all four wheels, which sounds fancy, but mostly just means the car bounces along the road like a rubber ball. And yet, it commands respect. When you see a Cony Guppy at a car show today, it draws a bigger crowd than the Lamborghinis. Why? Because it's honest. It's not trying to compensate for anything. It knows it's small. It knows it has 11 horsepower. It doesn't care. It's a Guppy. It's a small fish in a big pond, just swimming along, doing its job. The rarity of the thing also adds to the mystique. They didn't make that many, only about 5,000 or so, and because they were cheap utility vehicles, most were driven into the ground, rusted away, or scrapped. Finding one today is like finding a unicorn if the unicorn was made of tin and smelled like mixed gasoline. There is something deeply funny about the fact that aircraft engineers designed this. Imagine the team briefing. Okay, gentlemen, we have mastered the art of aerial combat engines. We know how to make planes dive at 300 knots. Now I want you to channel that expertise into a vehicle that can carry 3 crates of cabbage at a sensible walking pace. And they did it. They over-engineered the suspension and the transmission for a car that cost less than a good television. The Cony Guppy is a reminder that cars don't have to be fast to be cool. They don't have to be aggressive. In a world of angry headlights and massive grills that look like they want to eat pedestrians, the Guppy is a breath of fresh air. It's a car that looks at you and says, "Hello, I am here to help. I might not get there fast, and I might smoke a little bit, but we will get there eventually." So if you ever have the chance to see one in person, take a moment to appreciate the sheer audacity of it. Appreciate the siren blinkers. Appreciate the mid-engine layout that puts the heat source inches from your kidneys. Appreciate the fact that someone looked at a motorcycle engine and a wheelbarrow and thought, I can combine these. It is the unsung hero of Japanese economic miracle. It didn't win races, it didn't appear in James Bond movies, though it would have been hilarious if Bond had to escape in one. It didn't set lap records at the Nürburgring, but it moved the goods, it delivered the mail, and eventually it taught a generation of Japanese children how to drive. The Cony Guppy is 11 horsepower of pure heart. It is a tiny, noisy, smoking testament to the idea that size doesn't matter as long as you have enough charm to fill the cargo bed. And for that, we have to salute the little Guppy. It may be named after a tiny, helpless fish, but in the ocean of automotive history, it's a whale of a tale. Thanks for watching, and remember, drive small, dream big.